Welcome back. For decades, state creation has been one of Nigeria's most recurring political debates. And now the conversation is back on the table. State creation in Nigeria, their viability versus national development. With us in the studio is Dr. Cletus Mbeje. He's an educationist here to discuss this issue. You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Good morning.
What do you think about this idea of state creation, and why would you say it has been a recurring feature in Nigerian politics?
Yes, thank you for the question. You know, state creation is quite significant for national development. Number one, I will begin with the administration of Nigeria, then the Protectorate of Nigeria in 1914. Of course, the British, started the administration of Nigeria in 1900, when the Southern Protectorate and that of the Northern Protectorate and the Lagos Colony we had in 1900. That was when the British started the official administration of the entity, though there was no Nigeria at that time. So each of these protectorates were managing their resources and building their territories up until 1914, when the two protectorates were merged together. And what was the primary purpose of that merging was economic reason, because the Northern Protectorate was having economic recession. And Lugard found out that if the only way you can help to correct the economy of the North was to join the South together with that of the North, and that was where the amalgamation came. And also for administrative convenience, the purpose was not necessarily for unity. The primary purpose was that of economic and administrative convenience. Then in 1922, after Lugard, Clifford came. He never created any state, but Clifford came with and started constitutional development in Nigeria, because Lugard did not develop constitution. And then in 1930, from 31 to 35, provinces were built. We had about 4 provinces then: the Northern Province, the Southern Province, and out of the Lagos Province, etc. So after 1935, come 1946, Richard, reformed the system and made it regions. We have the Eastern region, the Western region, and the Northern region. Those provinces were divided into 3 regions. That was under the Richard's constitution or reign. So, and each of these regions were to manage their resources, to develop their area, and it was working. Then after Richard, Macpherson came in 1951 and strengthened and started agitating because that 3 regions now begin to form a circle of federalism. And then after those 3 regions, then Literature came, and then defined federalism. Upon independence in 1960, other regions started agitating for more regional development, and that was when in 1963, during the First Republic, a Midwestern region was created. All was in the effort of helping other regions, marginalized areas, to be developed as much, because it was expected that if those regions are limited to the numbers we were, development cannot get down to the hinterlands or to the rural areas. And that was to avert the lingering crisis that was coming up due to the issue of creation of more regions. That was where Gowon created 12 states on 27th May 1967. From the 12 states, more agitations keep coming. Murtala Mohammed came on 3rd February and created additional 7 states, making it 19 states. And more regions more agitation was still coming, because it is only when states are created that you see development. If Enugu State was not created from the former Anambra State, you can't be seeing Enugu develop as this. Because number one is that each state will begin to try to see how you can harness resources within their own enclave or locality to build their own area, build infrastructures, ensuring that roads are accessible, that citizens are not subject to suffering, that at least development can enhance, and then power too can be spread from the center to the other sub-regional units. So, and then when after what they call it, Murtala Mohammed, Babangida came and created on the August, created 2 additional states. That is Akwa Ibom and one other state from former crossover state, making it 21 states. And then still on in 1991, he created additional 8 states. So 9 states, making it 30 states. And upon which this man, General Sani Abacha, in 1986, created additional 6 states, which is 36 states today we have in Nigeria, and then that of the FC. And since then, no other state has been created in Nigeria. And population is on the increase. When you look at Nigeria as at that time, the population of Nigeria was lesser. But today, if you look at Nigeria, today Nigeria is ranking up to, according to the estimation, up to 250. Can this few states manage this population? No, the answer is absolutely no. You can't manage this population with 36 states only. So that is why there has been a series of agitations. Even in 2014, during the confab agreement set by former president of Nigeria, that's Jonathan, additional 18 states were created. If it was implemented, Nigeria could have been 54 states. Thus, bringing power down to the people, moving ethnic agitations or secessions. I will communicate these are political benefits from this creation of state, and more inclusiveness in governance. Power will be drawn down from the center down to the sub-regional areas where people, the grassroots will benefit from this employment opportunity will be created. The economic of the people will be harnessed because each state will try to get the best from their own to develop their area. That is, you can see what is happening in Enugu State today. From how much naira to the current budget today in Enugu State. So you can see that people are talking about taxes, but in which case, if people are paying taxes and they are seeing what the taxes are being used for, nobody will complain. If you are paying taxes, you are seeing good road network. Nobody. If you are paying taxes, you are seeing good hospitals, good standard schools. Nobody will complain. But when you are paying taxes and you are not seeing any development, and that can only come if and only if there are more states that will be created. Like that has been there. Ogoja State has been there from the time immemorial, and that is why you see if you go to all these places, they are not developed. Nobody wants to go there and build a school because it. But if they create Ogoja State today, and there is a capital here, people will start rushing to even those interlands to start building houses. You can imagine Abakpa. If there was no Enugu capital here, Abakpa cannot be developed. Abakpa was considered to be one of the remotest areas in Enugu State, but today, from here down to Ugogo, Opi, there is development now. People are buying land everywhere now. And Abakpa has been, if you go to Amod, you cannot see land again to buy. Except those who bought and refused to develop them. Or go to Ibagwa. Hardly before you see land at Ibagwa. What has happened because of what? Creation of Enugu State. Thank you.
All right. Now, you've mentioned a lot of political benefits and developmental benefits towards the creation of this state. Yeah. And we know that this movement has been going on for years. And the government knows, if I'm right, that they know the importance of this. So why does it seem like there is a gap between approval in principle and actual constitutional or structural implementation? Yes,
in a democracy, there are too many bureaucratic bottlenecks. In the civil, let me call it the civilian system of governance in Nigeria, and also these are some of the challenges because the center wouldn't want the sub-regional unit to benefit from what they are saying, because it's as if there is a cause or there's an enclave among the political actors in Nigeria. It's as if it doesn't mean that they don't know what they are to do. It's as if that before now the foreigners handed over power to some section of Nigerians. All communicating, and it seems as if the civilians are unable to create states, because most of the states that were created are all from the military. The military do not need any person to question you or to ask questions before he does whatever he or she wants to do. They go straight and do whatever. So you can say that during this era in question, there has been a series of developments among those states they have created. Now, the civilian government is as if it's incapacitated of creating new states. And that was what during Jonathan. If they have implemented that blueprint, Nigeria could have, all this agitation from various north and south could have died itself. But they could not implement that. Now, there is one, about 31 new states have been proposed at the National Assembly. And out of the 31, what we saw was that the Senate in the Johnson have ratified only 6 of them. Only 6 has been okay. Now we are trying to create additional state from southeastern Nigeria to balance the region, the regional divide, because it has only 5 states, while other region has 7 and 6. So we are asking of creating additional new state from the southeastern to balance it. And we have how many regions? We have 6 regions in Nigeria, right? So if you are approving 6 states, how many will come to the southeast? because the six states is just cutting across the six regions. So still the same under marginalization, right? So why is it difficult? If you create like Chad is not as big as Enugu State. It's a country. There are so many countries within the within African continent. Nigeria is as 20 times bigger than Cote d'Ivoire when it comes to population size. And Nigeria is bigger than many African countries. In Ghana, Nigeria is as 6 times bigger than Ghana. When it comes to land mass or population parameters, Nigeria, why is it that in Nigeria it is difficult to create state? It is because the people in question in power, who are under the civil system, don't want it to happen.
Now, I would like to ask you this. Now, you've mentioned all the importance of this creation of states, like development and inclusion, representation, and the like. But one of the strongest counter arguments about this is that the existing states already are struggling financially.
Yes.
They are still relying on federal transfers. You know, they have low internally generated revenue to pay salaries, etc. Problems, all these things out there. Now, adding new states to the already existing problem that we have, how does that work?
Yes, thank you very much. You see, that is what we talk about. That's why we are talking about good governance. Good governance is all about initiative, creativity. If you must be a good leader, you must be ready to have initiative, to allow the ideas to come in. Get the right heads to join you in your team, to give you intellectual advice that will help to harness or to turn around the fortunes of the state. There is no state in Nigeria that does not have resources. No state in Nigeria that does not have resources. And if there is no state that will tell me that if the governor is sound enough, that will tell me that he or she cannot generate revenue within the locality to pay salaries workers, or such a governor or whatever is a lazy person. Would you have known that the Enugu can generate such amount of money that is generating today? But because the man came and looked into other areas where he can source money to build a state, it's happening. Even though Lagos State can be seen as the former capital of Nigeria, where most of this importation and etc. is coming through. But during the time of Obasanjo, Tinubu, the current president, Obasanjo was reported to have denied the Lagos State their own allocation. But this man will look inward and begin to harness the resources of the state and use internally generated revenue to build Lagos. And that was what gave you the scorecard to ascend to the throne of presidency, number one person in Nigeria. So there is no state. If the governors or whoever is heading that state is sound enough, you can turn around the fortunes of the state. Just like a child that is coming from a very poor family. You cannot say because you're coming from a very poor family, so you will not be educated because you have no money to pay school fees. You can harness, you can source a way on how to pay your school fees. If it's to go and push back, you go and push. Can't want to train yourself. So any man who's telling you that the state does not have the resources to pay salary, it means the state, the leadership is weak. Am I communicating? So if the leadership of any given system is strong enough and has initiative, everybody, the state will be vibrant and things will be working well. You don't understand it? So there is nobody, there is no state that is as active, that who have sound. One, do you know the reason why they are complaining? Governors complain about because all of them come and sit and be looking at the federal allocation. It's only when they come. Where is federal allocation coming? Is it only from Abuja? Federal allocation is by virtue of the derivation formula. What each of the states is producing down to the center. It is from the sub-regional state that generate the revenue that the federal government now gives back. So are they saying that in Nigeria, if you look at the territorial integrity of Nigeria, there are resources found across all states in Nigeria. So those states, are they saying that they have no resources in their own state to harness them? They have, even though the resources are owned by the state, they are owned by the federal government. But there is never a time that the federal government, if you generate, because by virtue of the derivation formula, from the state to the federal, they pay in proportion to what comes back, what the state generates to the center. That's the derivation formula. We shall give you in a proportion to which we receive from you. So if those states are deriving, look like in Nigeria today, many states are depriving exploration in their state because of this, what is happening in the Niger Delta. There are some states that have resources, they don't want the federal government to know about it. Are you getting me now? So, and then they will, in which case they will rely on the federal to get money from other states to get money. So I don't accept or agree that the states will be lacking the financier to finance or to pay their workers' salary because maybe probably they don't have enough resources. I don't agree with that.
All right. Now, you talked about explorations and resources for states to explore.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about viability and what exactly defines the viability of a state in today's Nigeria. You know, what kind of resources, what kind of internally generated revenue do you think will make a state to be independent instead of, you know, depending on federal allocation? Yeah,
like you rightly said. When we allow explorers or a state allow explorers to come to, or even within those of them that are in, okay, how many universities in Nigeria has explorative, they have the Department of Exploration? How many universities in Nigeria have the Department of Exploration? What they just have is petrochemical. But if you can woo explorers like this Mongo Park, etc., that came to Nigeria to explore the source of River Niger, water is a resource. It's a resource. Solar mineral is there. Human capital development is also a resource. How many Nigerians have been trained been sent out to learn professional skills? If they are being hired, the money goes to the federal. But in which instances, if they allow us to, like Enugu State, we are talking about coal city. I just say mining coal in Enugu State. How is the one they will mine is just the one they will thief inside bush. It's Enugu State generating more revenue from coal. We're talking about in Kalagu at Ebonyi, all right? Is it Ebonyi? Yeah, where they're mining, so Ebonyi, salt of the nation, right? Are they still producing salt in Ebonyi? Look at our former refineries. Are they functioning? No. Are they functioning? They are not functioning, but they told us that they are functioning. If the state allows explorers to come into their state, if they really want to do a genuine work, to understand the resources that are found within their locality, they get explorers who will move around within the geographical entity of the state, explore the environment and discover which resources that can be found within our area. They can do that, and they can harness the resources. Are we communicating? But the problem is, our leadership is not thinking. They don't think of too. Like I was watching these excavators excavating, and I asked myself a question. Suppose these people that produce this thing did not sit and think 100 years ahead to produce this thing. So we can't construct road. We still go and look at. People with our leadership do not think of, they don't have long-term goals. What do you think is just within that 8 or 4 years, let me get my own, and I did not start it, so let me just get my own. Assuming we are in a leadership that think ahead of the people, to look at it tomorrow, the future, we can woo people. And then to come to think of it, if what they call him, Sullivan, did not woo South Africa to come and build ShopRite, should we have had this ShopRite here? Will people be working there? In Nigeria today, if you want to establish anything, a private individual wants to establish anything, to give you license to establish that's what you want to establish, it will be a problem. You have to pay bribe. I remember I went to Kaduna last year and Abuja. I went to National Commission for College of Education to submit a proposal for a new college of education. We wanted to establish here at Ifo at here in Abakpa. Then MBT office at Kaduna to submit a proposal too for a polytechnic to be established at Agbogaji here in Enugu. In fact, Kaduna was almost on completion because I was on call with them every day, but they were communicating, chatting. You know, they referred us that we should go and get this thing, license from license certificate from Corporate Affairs Commission. That's CSC. We paid. They searched the name. We moved away from that. They later went and slept with the Minister of Justice in Abuja. See today, they denied us that approval. And that is how the whole of this money spent went off. Suppose they have given us that approval. by now that school will stand. By now people will be working. By now development will come to that place. Because
Yes,
people will start coming there.
I understand what you're saying. But as well, let us also look at some of the hurdles to creating the states, because when you were talking earlier at the beginning of this conversation and you were mentioning how the states were created, most of the names you were calling were the military. People, the military regime at that time created most of these states. Now that we are now in a civilian government, from a legislation side, we see that creating a bill must pass, for this state creation must pass a lot of processes, both houses approved by at least 2/3 of the existing states and the like. So how much of an obstacle would you say is this entire process from the civilian from the civilian government, and what are your ideas about that?
Yes, like I already pointed out earlier before now. I said in the military, because military they suspend constitution, they don't rule by constitution. But the civilian government they rule by constitution. And the constitution, before a new state will be created, it must pass through a bill. And passing through a bill means in National Assembly, before you say, okay, let them create a state, for instance, you have to ensure that you lobby with other members to say, yeah, I agree with you. So that be created. If you have no money to lobby, then maybe the bill might remain in that first stage, because after the first reading, if they allow you to read the bill the first, after they vote, because it must pass through first reading, second reading, third reading, then committee, before they will not move down to the final decision. If the joint section, as Urani said, of the National Assembly agreed that these ones should go, then they will now vote in favor of those ones. If they did not agree, which means the bill will just be kept there. So the process in creation of states in the civilian or in the democratic system is too cumbersome, unlike in the military era where they rule by decree. So what we are saying is that Nigeria is a large entity. We are not creating state to divide Nigeria. We are only creating state. The state creation is to reduce national tension, marginalization, and the quest for secession. If they create new states today, you see that many agitation will end, because some of these who are agitating will be part of the government. Are we communicating? So in a civilian system, there is always this bureaucratic bottleneck, and this bureaucratic bottleneck lies on legislation, because it must pass through processes, lobbying, before it will be accepted by if the joint session does not accept it, then which means the state will just die off in that order. It does not matter the public opinion, because sometimes they will tell you they have gone for constituency, whatever they call it, constituency meeting with the constituency to know what they are saying. This state, they accept that this state be created within their own constituency or not. Which, of course, as of the last 2 months or so, they did it in Nigeria before they started bringing this bill into the Nigeria. Because I remember in my own state, Ogoja State, we argued in our platform that our own representative have not brought forth Ogoja State into the National Assembly. So the man pleaded with Ojerigbe, Senator Ojerigbe was the one. So he pleaded, he was begging us in the platform that they have not created any state. So the bureaucratic bottleneck following the creation of state civilian government is what is causing that states are not created in the civilian government easily.
So finally, what is the way forward? How do we get to the point of implementation, not just saying that they are going to, agree to 6 states?
No. The thing is on leadership. It's on leadership. Did you get me right? It's leadership. If Tinubu as the chief executive head, because in the democratic system of government or federal system of government, the presidency has so much powers. There are too much powers on the presidency, the executive arm of government. If the executive arm of government wants all these states to be created today, he can create them. They always just speak with the Senate president that, yes, I have heard you have a meeting, and let's divide this thing into this, so that we can help to solve this, all this, because these states that have been mentioned, they were the state proposed during the Confab agreement, and these states are proposed because of ethnic tensions, and people for inclusiveness and marginalization. So If the presidency or the national, the chief executive head of this country agreed, we can create this new state. We the citizens are only meant to be told that look at where you belong to now. You're no longer in the previous state again. Look at where. So the National Assembly know the right thing to do, and the executive arm know the right thing to do. So let them go ahead and approve those states so that peace and agitation can reign in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Cletus Orim Mpeje.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure for having me.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yes, and that is where we wrap it up on that conversation on the morning, on Signature Morning on Signature TV. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning. And we'll be connecting to our Abuja studios for the continuation of the morning show. Make sure to stay tuned. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha.
And I am Lilian Wali. Enjoy the show.